Alright, figure I'll start a video on making this heat treating furnace. I used to have one. The furnace body was made out of an old car muffler and it ran off of propane. I had a PID controlling it. It worked alright. It would hold temp. But it was propane fired. I couldn't run it indoors. It was janky and dangerous. I'm going to make an electric one. What I'm working on now is the coils. I'm going to make it out of some Kanthal wire. I could make... You can buy heating elements. I figured I'm going to wind them myself because it's quite a bit cheaper to do that, and it's not very labor intensive at all. So I guess here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wind them. I've got some Kanthal wire here. I think it's like this is 0.515 ohms per foot. There's 50 feet of it. Winds up being about 25, a little over 25 ohms for the roll of 50 feet. I'm going to roll it into a coil. And then I'm going to use 2 coils in parallel, which should drop it down to a little over 12 ohms. 12 ohms on 240 volts, around 18 amps about. And then at 18 amps at 240 volts should be around 4,400 watts. It should be enough to get everything I need up to temperature. But I guess I'll experiment. But here I am winding the coil. It's pretty easy. I just have a 1/2-inch shaft. Winding it around the shaft. I mean, by the time I'm done, it kind of springs back. There's a little bit of spring back, but it really doesn't. It honestly doesn't. It's not going to affect anything. I'm going to use a fluidized sand bed inside of an electric furnace. The insulation is going to be K-wool insulation. Probably an old 30-pound propane tank for a shell. I haven't made up my mind yet on that. Alright, here I am winding these coils into this, which is proven to be one of the more frustrating things I think I've ever done in my life. What I'm doing is taking up the space in between with strips of K-wool that are soaked in basically like a clay slip, and then I squish them and work everything around, and when it's all done I'll get everything situated before drying it all out and then firing it. But it should work. It should seal up the K-wool pretty good, so I don't have to worry about that. So I'll see if you guys can catch me struggling here. All I'm really doing is just getting it in the slip, squishing it. And packing it in there on top of the wire here. I guess the main thing is not to let the wires touch. You don't want a short circuit in there. Really wouldn't. Just probably have a little more current draw. you know, when you're working with this cable, it should, I'm not wearing a respirator. I should be. There's a lot of things I should do safety-wise that I don't. And I will more than likely pay for it with my early demise. All right, it's the temp controller I'm using. I've had this for quite a few years. It was on my other heat treat furnace that was propane fired. It's an Auber Instruments SYL 2362. There's no ramp soak things on it. It's just to set it, and it you set the temp that you want it to go to. It hits the temp and does its thing. At 110 coming into it, inside here there was a 12 volt wall wart that connected to 110 volts. That goes out to, it's a shut-off solenoid for propane fork truck, which is 12 volts, which is why I needed the transformer on the inside. It would, with an atmospheric burner in my furnace, hold plus or minus 5 degrees. And on a good day, it was a little bit better, which is fine. It did really well. It was just the propane. I never felt safe running it in my attached garage. And I was just kind of a cobbled together mess. Anywho, I'm going to take this all apart and wire it up for a solid state relay on the electric elements on the new one. So, alright, I think I got my settings on here. I just have it set on off, not PID control right now because I'm just testing it out. But there's that. There's the SSR. There's my live wires in the back. That's all going to get taken care of in a second. I mean, I've got to make some sort of a cover to cover all that stuff up and actually, keep it all shielded and such. Thermocouples inside. It's warming up. Actually, pretty fast. It's actually kind of, well, I guess I've got quite a bit of wattage for the volume of the thing. So we'll see if something works up. Yeah, the on-off mode right now is overshooting quite a bit, which I figured it might. The PID, when I turn it on, will actually learn it. So there, SSR should be back on. It should be warming back up. I'm sure it's going to fall south. And I'm sure what'll happen is it'll warm up. It'll hit the 1300. It'll shut the SSR off, and it will overshoot. There's 1300. SSR is off, and it keeps climbing. That's what the PID algorithm in the thing is for. It'll actually, this one should learn, but I don't have everything set up. I don't have the sand bed in it. So the thermal mass isn't there for it to actually learn. So, let's see what it looks like on the inside. It's hot. Sweet.